Government has finally managed to expand the cabinet some 3 months after Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal assumed his office, and during which time he had to twice clear the floor test. The newly formed cabinet is a bag of new and old faces, while Prime Minister Dahal will continue to face the challenge of stabilizing the dynamics of alliance politics. Disputes have surfaced with coalition partners Nepali Congress, while Janmat Party has walked out of the government, citing differences. Good evening, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan, and these are the headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal expands the cabinet. Cabinet is still incomplete due to internal dispute in Nepali Congress. Janmat walks out of the government, citing differences. The government faces challenge of fulfilling public aspirations. Newly appointed Finance Minister says economic revival is topmost priority. Bank accounts of Nepali nationals controlled by Chinese citizens in Nepal indulged in transaction of 100 million rupees in the past 7 months. And Nepal chuck out a hard-earned 2-1 victory over Laos at the Three-Nation Prime Ministers' Cup. Ayush Galan and Manish Dangi scored a goal each in the championship victory for Nepal. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has expanded the cabinet some 3 months after he assumed the office of the executive chief. The new cabinet has embraced Nepali Congress, Maoist Centre, Janta Samajwadi, CPN Unified Socialist, Loktantrik Samajwadi and Nagrik Unmukti Party. President Ramchandra Paudel administered the oath of office and secrecy to the newly appointed ministers amid a function at Sital Niwas today itself. The new cabinet has Congress leader Purna Bahadur Khadka as Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister, while Prakash Saran Math has been appointed Finance Minister. Sita Gurung of Nepali Congress has been appointed Urban Development Minister, while Ramesh Rijal has bagged Minister for Industry. Deputy Prime Minister from CPN Maoist Centre Narayan Kaji Shrestha has been appointed Home Minister. Likewise, Sakti Basnet of Maoist Centre has bagged Energy Ministry. Meanwhile, Maoist Minister Sudan Kirati, Rekha Sharma and Aman Lal Modi have retained their ministerial positions. Kirati has been retained as Minister for Tourism. Rekha Sharma is the Minister for Information Technology, while Modi is the Minister for General Administration. Maoist Centre Susil Sripaili has been entrusted with the Minister for State for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation. Baburam Bhattrai-led Nepal Samajwadi's Mahindra Rai Yadav has been appointed Minister for Women, Children and Senior Citizens. Likewise, Unified Socialist Prakash Jwala has been entrusted with the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure, while Beduram Pusal has bagged Ministry of Agriculture. Likewise, Janta Samajwadi Party's Ashok Rai has been appointed Minister for Education, Science and Technology. Nagrik Unmukti Party's Ranjita Shrestha has bagged Ministry for Land Management, Cooperatives and Poverty Alleviation. Due to the internal disputes in Nepali Congress, the Sekar Koirala faction has not sent names in the cabinet, which according to sources has obstructed the cabinet from receiving a full say. In the meantime, Janmat Party, which was a part of the government, has walked out expressing its discontentment. Prime Minister Dahal has held on to the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Health, Law, Forest, Sports and Water Supply. Rashtriya Swatantra Party, meanwhile, has not bagged any ministries despite extending its support to the government. Rashtriya Jan Morcha, meanwhile, has decided against joining the government. Minister of Water Supply Abdul Khan has resigned as his party Janmat walked out of the government, expressing dissatisfaction in the share of ministerial portfolios. The Deputy Chair of Janmat Party, Khan, furnished his resignation to Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal at Singh Darbar earlier today. Janmat had been expressing its dissatisfaction regarding the share of ministries ever since joining the government led by CPN Maoist Centre Chairperson Pushpakamal Dahal. Janmat Party was to be allocated the Ministry of Industries, Commerce and Supplies while reshuffling the Council of Ministers. Khan, who initially was appointed a minister without portfolio, was later assigned with the Ministry of Water Supply. Expressing his dissatisfaction, Khan had not assumed his office for a few days earlier. He had assumed his office only after holding talks with Prime Minister Dahal. Khan grew more dissatisfied as he was retained as the Minister for Water Supply even after the coalition parties had discussed of switching him to the Ministry of Industries, Commerce and Supplies. Newly appointed Finance Minister Prakash Saran has assured of creating an environment for reduction of current expenditure and reducing interest rate. After assuming office, Minister Mahat claimed that he would protect the economy, increase revenue and investment, and create a conducive environment for the private sector. Minister Mahat reiterated commitments of collaborating with the Nepal Rashtra Bank to curb the interest rate. He also added that problems in the economy were seen because of internal issues, Russia-Ukraine war and the coronavirus pandemic. He added that it was his priority to provide respite to the public and address the problems of microfinances and cooperatives.
माइक्रोफाइनान्सदेखि कोअपरेटिभ्सहरु चाहिँ समस्यामा छन्। यसमा राष्ट्र बैंकको पनि अहम भूमिका छ। हामी यो अर्थ मन्त्रालयले राष्ट्र बैंकसँग एउटा समन्वय गरी कोअपरेटिभ रूपमा काम गर्न जरुरी छ। यो हामी देश र जनतालाई केन्द्रबिन्दुमा राखेर यहाँ पार्टीको कुरो छैन, व्यक्तिको कुरो छैन, जनतालाई राहत दिने कुरो छ।
Newly appointed Finance Minister Mahat also claimed of increasing development expenditure and investment. He said that his entire focus would be on reviving the national economy. The national economy has been reeling as the government has been forced to take loans to cover its expenses. The business sector has been badly dented due to high bank interest rates, while the general public is facing a back-breaking inflation. In the given scenario, the newly appointed Finance Minister Prakash Saran faces the challenge of mobilizing the economic activities and win the confidence of the private sector. In the face of low income, despite skyrocketing inflation, the consumption of goods in the market has gone down. The domestic factories need to cut down given the low consumption, while the imported goods too have not been sold. To aggravate the scenario, the bank interest rate has doubled in comparison to the past year. A number of businesses have been blacklisted due to their inability to pay interest. In the past 1 year, some 23,407 businesses have been blacklisted. Due to the partial ban on import, the government's foreign exchange reserve has posted a slight improvement. The ban on export, however, has greatly impacted the national revenue collection. 609 billion rupees revenue was collected till yesterday, while the government has already spent 647 billion rupees under various headings. The current expenditure has exceeded the revenue collection by 38 billion rupees. Of the development budget amounting to 380 billion rupees, only 24% of the amount, that is 94 billion, has been spent. In the meantime, the government is yet to pay 65 billion rupees to contractor companies who had finished their works. The newly appointed Finance Minister therefore faces the challenge of mobilizing the economy by piping out more investment and at the same time slashing off government expenses. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
And a look at the results from yesterday's question. And yesterday we had asked you, what's your take on the transfer of employees without following regular criteria? 58% of you voted for option A, political interference, 9% voted for option B, interest of employees, and 33% voted for option C, financial gains. Time for today's question. And your question is, what should be the priority of the government after the cabinet expansion? Your options are option A, improve service delivery, option B, plan to lift sagging economy, and option C, accelerate development works. The voting is on. Type in AWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share opinion with us. The second round of talks between the government and the victims of loan sharks too has ended inconclusively. The second round of talks held today at Home Ministry could not seek an agreement on the demands put forward by the victims of loan sharks. The meeting today was adjourned, agreeing to hold another round of dialogue at 11 a.m. tomorrow. The victims have demanded that the property seized by the loan sharks should be returned in the name of victims themselves. This was one of the main demands of the 9-point memorandum submitted to the government. The victims, who had walked all the way to the federal capital, Kathmandu, from Bardibas in Province 2, covering the distance in 11 days, have also demanded a high-level commission to look into their cases, scrapping of a system called Tomsuk, the traditional handpaper agreement. The government talks team today had informed about the action undertaken so far to curb the illegal activities of loan sharks. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal is meeting the victims of loan sharks. Met the victims today itself. The victims have emphasized that they would not return to their home unless their demands are met. The victims were trying to call upon Prime Minister Dahal ever since their arrival in Kathmandu earlier this week. Among the foreign tourists visiting Nepal, Chinese nationals are the highest after Indians. While Chinese tourists are increasingly getting attracted towards Nepal, the risk of criminal activities are equally increasing. Complications have intensified as Chinese nationals who had been operating illegal call centers in Nepal are now having access to the bank accounts of Nepali citizens. Of the 19 arrested for online fraud by the Valley Crime Division last week, 9 are Nepali nationals. The rest are Chinese nationals who had been residing in Nepal for the past 9 months following their arrival from Laos and Vietnam. Of the 9 arrested, only 2 have valid visas, while 4 do not even have their passports. They have been found involved in online fraud while living in Nepal. The scary side is that they had access to the bank accounts and details of Nepali nationals and had been operating the accounts at 5 banks of 14 Nepali nationals. The arrested Chinese nationals had been using the ATMs, account numbers and signed checkbooks of Nepali nationals. It has been found that they had conducted transactions of around 100 million rupees from these accounts. However, the 100 million rupees has not been traced, which has shocked the investigating officers of Nepal police. Even the embassy has begun paying interest about the involvement of Chinese nationals in criminal activities. According to the Department of Immigration, a total of 837 Chinese nationals have been deported in the past 4 years for the involvement in illegal activities. The government had prepared a directive for monitoring of foreigners involved in activities other than specified in their visa. However, lack of sound implementation of such provisions has led to the situation where foreign criminals are now having access to Nepal's banking and financial sector. The Federation of Business and Professional Women has marked its 50th anniversary today. The entity, founded in 1971 under the initiation of Ambika Shrestha of Nepal and Lucille Dunhan of BPW International and a few Nepali business and professional women, has been operating with the mission of encouraging and ensuring professional and entrepreneurship development of women and youth by facilitating access to relevant knowledge, skill, resource and market, along with the advocacy and capacity development to create an impact on the national socio-economic development. Addressing the 50th anniversary program, President of the entity Ambika Shrestha shared about the organization.
BPW, we used to work in what was called a 5O, and the 5O used to be BPW, University Women, Donta, Optimist, and one other International Council of Women. So 5 organizations used to work together, and we used to do projects together, which has broken up now. But I think we should get back again and work together.
Also addressing the program, Chief Guest Dr. Catherine Bossard, the President of BPW International, appreciated the accomplishments of BPW Nepal.
So thank you very much for all this wonderful work. The sustainability of this work is really impressive.
BPW chapters of Nepal were also felicitated at the program, while products of several women-led enterprises were also kept on display. And in our Public Voice segment, we have asked about the social and economic transformation faced by women in the past decade. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
Public Voice. चौकोमा मात्रै सीमित थियो भने अहिले महिलाहरू लोकसेवा आयोगमा, शिक्षा सेवा आयोगमा, निजामती क्षेत्रमा, त्यो पुलिस सेना प्रहरीमा समान सहभागिताको निम्ति महिलाहरू कम्मर कसेर अगाडि बढेको देखिन्छ।
जबदेखि शिक्षादेखि स्वास्थ्य यो कुराहरुमा चाहिँ धेरै परिवर्तन आउनु भएको छ महिलाहरू।
समाजले हामीलाई हेर्नुपर्ने डिस्ट्रिक्ट पहिलाभन्दा फरक छ।
महिलाहरूलाई दिनुपर्ने जुन सुविधा छ त्यसमा अझ बढी मात्रामा दिएर उनीहरूलाई पनि प्रोत्साहित गरोस्।
जस्तो थियो त्यो 10 वर्ष अगाडि त्यो भन्दै त नि त्यस्तै छ।
महिलाहरू चाहिँ आफमा इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट भएका छन्। महिलाहरू पहिला 10 वर्ष पहिला कहाँ निस्किन्थ्यो मान्छेहरू, अहिले सबै निस्किरहेछ।
महिलाहरू सचेत हुनुभएको छ, आफ्नो आवाजहरू बुलन्द रूपमा उठाउनु भएको छ।
And now time for sports update.
Sports news.
Nepal came back from a goal behind to register a 2-1 win over Laos and lift the Prime Minister Three Nations Cup. Phosang Sisabat put the visitors ahead in the 17th minute of the match played at Dasan Stadium, attended by over 9,000 spectators. Laos' lead was short-lived as Ayush Galan converted a beautiful finish from inside the area in the 24th minute to put Nepal on level terms. The first half ended at 1-1, while Nepal wasted several opportunities early in the second half before Manish Dangi put Nepal 2-1 ahead in the 87th minute and secured the title for the host. Early in the tournament, Nepal had secured a 2-0 win over Laos before being held at a 1-1 draw against Bhutan. And up next is weather update. Those were our latest headlines. Up next is News in Nepali. Good night.